Hi there.
Hi,
How are you doing, Maricarmen?
I am doing great. How are you, Archie?
I'm doing great. I'm going to turn my volume up a little so I can hear you better. Awesome. Well, I'm so excited to be here with you today, and welcome to those of you who are joining us for this Instagram Live. We're so excited to be doing another one of these to give us an opportunity to chat with you a little bit more about what we're doing here at the Tahirih Justice Center. As you know, I am Archi Pyati. I'm the CEO at Tahirih. It's my privilege and honor to be in a role like this at an organization like this. The Tahirih Justice Center works across the country to provide legal and social services to immigrant survivors of gender-based violence. As this is October, we are currently celebrating Domestic Violence Awareness Month. What does that mean to us as an organization? Why does it matter? That's what we're here to discuss today. And I'm so honored and thrilled to be able to introduce to you Maricarmen Garza. Maricarmen is our Chief of Programs. In her role here, she oversees the majority of our staff. Well over half of our staff actually are involved in program work and services, and Maricarmen supervises all of that execution of our, the main reason we're here, our mission work to provide services and support to immigrant survivors of violence. So Maricarmen, do you want to say a little bit more about your role here at Tahirih? And then I want to talk a little bit about your expertise and background in this area.
And definitely. And thank you, Archie. It is such an honor to be here today and to be here talking about the work that we do at Tahirih, especially during Domestic Violence Awareness Month. What we do here is so important and so necessary. We work with immigrant survivors of gender-based violence, and we have a unique approach of how we address and serve individuals that are eligible for our services. We not only look at the immigration legal case or the legal cases that they may have, but we look at the whole person and, provide necessary life-sustaining social services that accompany the legal case. So we have an interdisciplinary approach that sees the individuals as a whole person. And then we have the policy aspect that also allows us to advocate in different areas to address some of the very compelling issues that we're seeing.
That's incredible. Thank you for describing it in that way. Now, I want to ask you, Maricarmen, to talk a little bit about your background. I know that you've been working in this field, the field of domestic violence, for over 25 years. Can you give us a little bit about your history, your background, how you came to Tahirih?
Most definitely. So prior to joining Tahirih, which is a little bit a year and a half ago, I worked for Texas Rio Grande Legal Aid, which is a legal aid organization that is in South Texas, 68 counties all along the Texas-Mexico border, and then just a little bit, 1/3 of the state really. And in that work, my only responsibility was to make sure I worked with those who were applying for legal services, who were also survivors of either domestic violence, sexual assault, trafficking, and that we were providing service holistically to those individuals. Now, working along the Texas-Mexico border, the issue of immigration was really important as many individuals travel back and forth freely, and there's different protections afforded to individuals along the border.
Absolutely. Now, I wanted, before we dive a little more deeply into, why domestic violence matters to us as an organization, why talking about it is so important, I just want to take a minute and let folks know that we're so honored to celebrate and so proud to celebrate you, a really important achievement of yours and recognition of your expertise. You have recently been selected as the very first woman of color to be the chairperson of the American Bar Association's Commission on Domestic and Sexual Violence. Can you talk to us a little bit about the commission at the American Bar Association, what it's charged with doing, and what it feels like to be in that new role?
Most definitely. I am thrilled and was excited to be appointed to be chair of this very important commission. So the American Bar Association is the world's largest professional organization. It is comprised of lawyers. Over 60,000 lawyers, I believe, make up this organization. And as the Commission on Domestic and Sexual Violence, our mission is to make, access to justice for individuals who are domestic violence, sexual assault, and human trafficking survivors. And we do that by mobilizing the legal profession. So to be a part of a group whose focus and mission is to do this together with many experts from across the country, lawyers, professors of law, prosecutors, judges, it's a really honor to do that and try to do it in a way that serves those that are so desperate of these types of services.
Absolutely. I mean, I think the charge must be enormous. The problem of domestic violence in the United States is huge, the scale of it. And as a legal profession, it's upon us to really react and to make change and to try to bring the support and services that folks need. Can you help our audience think a little bit more about the scope and scale of domestic violence in America?
Well, in America, those numbers are staggering. It's, 1 in 4 women suffer severe domestic violence. 1 in 7 men also experience severe domestic violence. Now, it is of such a huge amount. It really does not have have any boundaries. Everybody is impacted. And I think that everyone, given the vastness of how pervasive it is, we all know somebody who has been impacted by domestic violence. I do want to say for anybody who is listening, if you are in danger right now, please, you can always contact 911. Also, there is the National Domestic Violence Hotline. It's available 24 hours a day. There's services in English and Spanish in over 200 different languages. So really important to let anybody who's viewing to know that there are services available and that they can talk to somebody confidentially.
Wow, thanks for saying, for bringing that into this conversation, some really practical information and advice for folks who might be listening. What is the point of Domestic Violence Awareness Month in October? Why do we do that? Who are we trying to reach, and why are we trying to reach them?
It's many reasons why it's important to talk about it. One of it is that domestic violence thrives in secrecy. So by bringing awareness and us talking about this and talking with other service providers, it lets those individuals who need the services know about the services that are available to them. It also, just creates that safety net, and the public will know what to do when they do know somebody, who to refer them to. So really creating awareness is one of the most important things because domestic violence is 100% preventable. So talking about it, creating resources, providing education is one step towards getting to eliminating domestic violence.
Wow, Maricarmen, something you just said, domestic violence is 100% preventable. I just need to let that sink in for a minute. That's such a and actually having done this work for years myself, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say it exactly like you did just now. The fact that it's preventable, we need to think about that, right? Because everybody who's listening, anybody who's watching this later, you're going to be thinking about, what can I do, right? What is it that I can do to end domestic violence? We don't want women, men, children, anyone to experience violence because of their gender. We don't want anybody to experience violence in an intimate or partnered relationship or in a family. We all need to be able to live with our dignity and with our freedom and to realize our own futures. Why can't we prevent it? What is it that we need to do? What can people do right now to spread the word and break the silence and start making a difference?
There's so many different things, and that is a vast order. But I mean, talking about it is the first thing. I really do believe that when it's okay to talk about these issues and talk about it publicly, it allows other people to know that it's okay to experience this, that there is no shame,
No shame.
in something that you are going through. And that allows people not only to seek help without feeling the shame or the repercussion of it, but we're also going to be educating about the resources, the laws, the remedies. And so we really need to make sure that we're communicating and, and sharing this very broadly.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing that. We want to prevent it. We want to stop domestic violence from being an issue. But as we know, as you said earlier, it's affecting so many people. Now, here at Tahirih, we make the choice to, in our mission, serve specifically in the vast community of people who experience domestic violence. We choose to serve, in particular, immigrant survivors of domestic and sexual violence, among other forms of violence motivated by gender. Why do we do that, and what are some of the specific hurdles, challenges, vulnerabilities that immigrants might face?
Well, I mentioned the statistics, 1 in 4 women, 1 in 7 men, but those numbers are actually higher when we're talking about immigrant survivors of intimate partner violence. And the reason for that is that typically their abusers are aware of the undocumented or the immigration status of the individual and use that as a tool of control over the relationship. So having a lack of immigration status in this country really makes it to where individuals could be more vulnerable to this type of victimization. So,
right. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead. Finish your thought.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say that I think, the way that I've thought about it in the past is that for a U.S. citizen, for somebody who was born and raised here or has their citizenship, it could be very scary to pick up that phone and call 911 or call for help, call a neighbor and say, I'm experiencing violence or I'm scared. Can you please help me? Just imagine how much more frightening it would be if you thought, if I pick up that phone, I could end up detained in a jail. I could end up deported. I could end up taken away from my children if they're citizens. I think I've represented individuals myself who are undocumented, but their partners have citizenship. And so they believe, and in some cases are right, that the citizen partner could get custody of the children and they might end up taken away and sent home. So there's a lot at risk when immigrant survivors are facing, are trying to get help and trying to break free.
Most definitely. There are significant barriers that make it even more challenging for somebody to leave an abusive relationship. Like you said, the constant threat of immigration, sometimes being brought about by their partners, is something that is really, really a huge barrier. But when you add like the experience of an immigrant who may be new to this country, may be isolated from family and friends, may not understand the language, or the system, the legal system under which we operated. I know, having, worked with a lot of Hispanic and Latin immigrants, they are always worried, for instance, that if they leave their abuser, they'll be accused of abandono de hogar. Right, which is like they will lose every single right that they have. And so leaving for them, if they don't understand what protections may be available in this country, means that they're leaving their children, their home, and all their rights to that. So really not understanding or being familiar with our laws is another thing that causes like some barrier, and not having the ability to access services to know otherwise is also something that could be very difficult. But then you add not being able to be employed outside of the home, not being able to open a bank account, not being able to drive in some states if you can't have a driver's license. It just increases the barriers that allow somebody to be able to think of a life independent of an abuser.
So profound. I want to, we're going to close in just a minute. I'm so grateful to those who joined or those who watched. Before we wrap up, I want to, you shared a little bit earlier about the services we provide, Maricarmen. I wonder if you could just give a capsule summary of not just why we provide what we provide, but how we provide it and why that matters to us so much.
So, you know, we believe that, you know, our clients are the biggest experts in their life and what is needed. So we are here to listen, to address the pressing legal issues that may be needed to be addressed, right? Whether it's immigration or a family law matter if necessary. But we don't just look at that one issue. We really try to empower them through social services, through education, so that the decisions that are being made are solely being made and led by that individual. Like, our goal is really to empower that survivor to take, you know, control of their lives, something that has been taken away from them through violence or this process that they've been going through. So not only are we going to address that legal need, that it's going to get them to where they need to be safely in this country, but then look at the rest of their life and see where else can we support them so that they're able to navigate these systems and be able to make a life independently for themselves and their children.
Amazing. Thank you, Maricarmen. I know the work that you do day in and day out is so incredibly important. The support you're providing to our staff, the leadership and oversight you're offering, and just what you bring in terms of knowledge and expertise in not only the legal systems and how they work, but also how to be here and present for individuals who need to be seen as whole people and to be recognized as individuals who have social service needs, who have needs in connecting with religious services, needs in connecting with school for their children, needs in getting on their own 2 feet so they can break the cycle of violence for themselves and for their children. What you're doing is heroes work. Thank you. And thank you for leading our incredible staff of amazing advocates here at Tahirih. I see we've been joined by board members, by former clients, by so many people who are our champions. For all of you who are here to support us, we're grateful to you. As you heard in the middle of this, our ask of you all is to get the word out. Help us spread the word and let folks know that this October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month. We want people to be aware of domestic violence and how it impacts our nation, and in particular, the immigrant community. And we want you to bring them to us here at Tahirih so we can continue to work in partnership together to end domestic violence and other forms of gender-based violence. Thank you so much, Maricarmen, for being here with me. Thank you to all of you. I'll be back with more information about Tahirih another time. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you, Archi.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye.